So can you please state your name?
Nick Clary.
Okay. And I'm just going to interview you about what kind of media you use. So my first question is, what media do you use, whether print, film, music, social networking?
When you say do I use, you mean in connection with my teaching or just in general?
Both.
Okay.
Maybe how it helps you as a teacher or how it hinders you as a teacher.
Yeah, someone just asked the other day, what did you do before email? And I said, I can't remember. But I think that I use email a great deal. And as the school years have gone by and things have been introduced to St. Mike's, I basically try to keep up with what's going on. I don't use Smartboard. I don't use lots of the software that other colleagues do. But I do use eCollege and I use email a great deal for communicating with students outside of the classroom any day of the week. So I use videos, DVD, and VHS tapes. I still have those. I don't watch much TV. Um, and I've recently begun to use Facebook only because my niece, who's got cystic fibrosis, is in a pretty severe state. So I started using it because she's on Facebook, and her brother is, and so I want to keep up to date with her. So every day I look at it in the morning to see how she's doing and send her a little message one way or the other.
Right. Do you consider Facebook a source of news? And if not, or if so, what is your main source of news?
I think my main source of news is newspapers. I get the local newspaper. I get selected stories from New York Times each day. My wife and I watch the news. We watch local news, Channel 3, and we watch national news on Channel 3, CBS. Um, I don't get my news from the internet in general. I mean, I don't go there, although my newspaper is on the internet. And late in the day, they send update stories,
Yeah.
and it comes to me in the middle of the afternoon. I might take a quick look at that. But I don't go there for my news. But if there's a news item that comes up, I might Google to see, what other newspaper or journal deals with it.
So these newspapers, the Times and the local newspaper, do you have online subscriptions then, or do you have print, or both?
I have print subscriptions to the local newspaper, Burlington Free Press. I have online subscriptions to New York Times and the Baltimore Sun.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How do you think media in general or technology has affected you socially? As a teacher, do you find it helps you to be, up to date by having like a Facebook or cell phone, or do you find it doesn't really matter or affect you as a teacher socially?
I think for the longest time, I resisted getting involved with Facebook, with LinkedIn. I don't have a smartphone. I only have a cell phone since I was in the hospital. I figured that we ought to have one. My wife should have one, and I should have one in case anything happens. But I hardly ever use. I don't even know what my phone number is on my cell phone. So I don't use that. I do spend a fair amount of time checking, because I'm an editor, communications with my editing team. I'm a consulting editor for a Shakespeare bulletin board, which is international bulletin board. I'm on the board of directors there, so I have to check in with that. I've got to adjudicate essays that scholars write that may or may not go up on our internet source. So I mean, there are a variety of things that I need to check out on a fairly regular basis.
Okay. How do you prefer to communicate with someone? And this is a kind of a two-part question. I know that you have kids who are older, and what is your number one way of communicating with them? And then also, if you were in a situation where you had to confront someone, would you avoid the confrontation and maybe do it over texting or email, or would you prefer to talk face-to-face with them?
I prefer face-to-face. I mean, I wouldn't text because I don't know how to do text. I do email to set up meetings,
Right.
Rather than to handle a confrontation. With my sons, I use email from time to time with them. I prefer the phone. I prefer to have them visit the house or visit their house.
Okay. Um, how do you think media has affected your life? As a teacher, as a father, whatever.
Um, Probably pretty significantly in terms of how I spend my time. Before there was internet, before there was email, and before there were computers on the campus, none of those were available. But a lot of time was spent doing things that now take very, very little time. So the proportion of my time is moved around because of the technological advances.
Right. Do you find that you feel stressed or forced into using technology sometimes? Do you feel like you may be um, like behind the times, or do you think like there's some kind of social constraint or something that's acceptable to
No,
make you use
no.
it?
I mean, nobody puts any pressure on me to keep up with technology.
Right.
Um, I'm usually pushing other people
Mm-hmm.
to do technology.
Okay.
Um, I think as I'm getting older, the more I'm involved in technology and developments, I think it keeps my brain active and capable. Whether it's true or not, I
Yeah.
think it does because it takes some getting used to certain applications of things, and I'm always experimenting, trying to refine, and keeps me alert, almost as good as being in class with students.
Right. My last question is, did you read the book over the summer, Nicholas Carr's The
Yes,
Shallows? What do you
yes.
have to say about it?
Um, I liked the earlier parts that were mainly historical. What I liked least about it was the way it became apparently polemical. In other words, he had a particular axe to grind, and I felt as though it was a little heavy-handed rather than balanced. Um, but it was good to have the students read it because it gave you things to talk about, and I think we probably talked about it too few days.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, being a student, being immersed in this media revolution, I find definitely that it's with books like that, I go into them kind of, with a defensive tone. But
yeah,
I tried to read that one as like objectively as possible, and
right.
I got a lot out of it for sure. And it's easy to feel like defensive now about technology instead of skeptical, but I think it's healthy.
I know I get personally annoyed about other people using technology more than I use it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always annoyed about drivers that are on the cell phone.
Oh
It makes me crazy. Students that walk across campus with the cell phone at their ear, that annoys me. Um, Students that spend so much time. I guess I don't know if they get out of the habit of using it, but the new students who come on board seem to rely more and more on contacts at home. It diminishes over 4 years, but I think the first year it's hard
yeah.
because as they're trying to get used to a new situation, they have that umbilical cord, which keeps them connected to people that they know who may be at other places, and so on, boyfriends, girlfriends, parents,
For
and
sure.
so on. But they kind of grow out of that. It might be a useful thing for them to have, but it's annoying because it takes their attention away from where it might be.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts you have to say
I have
about
no
this?
final thoughts.
Okay.
My thoughts are always in
All
progress.
right. Thank you very much for doing this.